All right, welcome back to Goat's Gravy. We're excited to be here today. Today we're going to do a brief topic on internships. Obviously, this time of year, it's really important to start looking now, reach out now for your summer internship. So just going to kick some ideas around, and I'll start it off with Scott here, who's got a lot of experience with his organization, specifically with sales internships. So Scott, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm right in the middle of it right now, helping my son, and his network of friends really trying to find internships. We had Josh on one of the previous episodes who just landed an internship at ServiceNow.
That's right.
And then we got to listen to kind of his experiences. But yeah, I think to kind of the basics to kind of break this topic down, it starts with a plan, right? And what does that look like? And it's a plan I think it's a twofold plan. And this is what I'm working with my son on. Plan one is, how do you secure the internship? And then what objectives and what do you want to get out of that? And maybe we can unpack that, the three of us. And then the second piece of the plan is really what the internships are all about, which is securing their first time or their first gig.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's a plan. They're intermixed together, but they're separate. And I think for our audience out there, I think it's really important to put it on paper, right? Don't overcomplicate it. One page each. And I'm working with my son on those every week. We talk about it and he has questions and we're just working through it. So I think that's really important. But the first fundamental piece, Billy, I think is network. And we talk about that quite a bit on this podcast.
Yeah.
And, what are your thoughts on the networking piece to even put that into the plan?
Yeah. Well, listen, there's a lot of different ways to network, but I think my advice would be start with family and friends, right? Who are some of your contacts, your parents, through different family connections? Obviously, you've got resources, college resources, job fairs. LinkedIn's huge. Get on LinkedIn. You got Indeed. You have Glassdoor, Handshake. There's a lot of different sites out there where you can just word search internship. Specifically, we're recommending sales internships because that's going to get you more exposure to the selling world. And so understanding what those responsibilities look like, get you exposure to life as someone in sales. And I think those things help prepare you for career decisions into your future.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way it worked for, let's just use Josh as an example, who landed a really good internship at a really good technology company. You mentioned friends and family. He just called me, and he said, "Hey, Mr. Atwater," that's kind of, I feel old when people call me that, Billy, but that's what a lot of people call me. Mr. Atwater, hey, are there any internships available? Right. And it start early, right? Freshman and sophomore can absolutely go seek internships. There's no reason why they cannot. Right. I think Caden got his first, his sophomore summer, and he got that through friends and family. George Shanine, who's been on this podcast, was nice enough to extend him an opportunity to do a sales internship with George, and it went really well. But I think, as you're approached, and maybe we can kind of dovetail into D here for a second, but you've given internships.
Yep.
How does that process work, and how do they network into you?
In my situation, this is years ago, but we actually created an internship position for a digital marketing role. And we hadn't done a lot of, I was with a small kind of turnaround company, hadn't done a lot of social media awareness building and all of that. And so it was actually Demetri, and I'll let Demetri tell his side of the story, but it was pretty fascinating. Demetri is someone that, again, reaching out to your network. I knew him through church. He was following up with me, asking me to sit down with him just to get advice on the world of sales and just business in general. And he also was really interested in kind of video production, digital marketing. He did a lot with social for the church. And so it ended up being a really nice opportunity where as soon as I knew we needed something like this, I went right to Demetri. And then he ran with it. So, Dee, why don't you talk about that experience for you?
Yeah, I think that was super cool. So, first and foremost, thank you for that opportunity, Billy.
You earned it.
But yeah, I think just in terms of how it developed, for what it's worth, yeah, I think a lot of that definitely stemmed from just doing stuff previously, right? So, I think that perhaps may have helped with you even extending the chance, right? But definitely with the idea of coming in and doing the digital marketing, like it was all just centered around how well I could learn and take action. So I think within the first month of being there, like you kind of let me loose. And I just recall, I forgot who the CEOs was at a time, but I just remember presenting a whole game plan basically on how we could basically take the social media or whatnot. We were kind of focused on just a whole digital strategy. A lot of it was inbound and nurturing what existed already, but how to create some sort of like new channel. But for me, I think the biggest lesson out of it was just how the things you're doing now actually correlate to like the next opportunity. So like even just participating and volunteering to do social media for the church, or at the time it was community music, right? So the music ministry that had the popular song Make Room. All that snowballs. And so I could see how, yeah, it's just important at this point, if somebody's like even considering to get an internship, to start the snowball effect now, even if you're not getting paid, even if it's like your mom's best friend's gardening business, right? Who cares? Like just get like a personal case study under your belt so that you at least have something to talk about, you know? Like I think, yeah, I think, I don't know. I think that was definitely a part of our discussions, Billy, but just, yeah, figuring it out at the end of the day. And so I think you kind of gave that opportunity
this
and
kind of
kind of ran
reminds
with
me,
it, which is cool. So,
yeah, I love what you said there. You know, you need stories because these experiences, even though it may not be an internship, you're going to use those stories in the interview. You're going to use those stories to secure, you know, that internship. You're going to use those stories to secure that full-time job. So Will Groya, right, who is someone that we spent some time mentoring, he was applying for the sales minor at Michigan State. And Billy, you talked to him, I talked to him, and he kind of took the tack of, man, I don't really have any sales experience, right? When in reality, to Dee's point, I think he really did have sales experience. So he was like an IT lead at a school. What do they do? And we started asking him a series of questions. Who's your customer? How do you deal with problems? How do you resolve problems? How do you follow up? So the fundamentals for our audience out there, to Dee, to your point, you have valuable experience. It may not be called a sales job, but you're dealing with a lot of sales problems, or you're looking to find a solution based on a problem. So, you're really trying to gear up for what does that interview look like, and to a story to tell where you're solving a problem.
Yeah,
that's how I'm trying to look at it.
Yeah, and I think it's also for Demetri's case. We were a small company, and so my goal for him was to get him exposure to multiple departments, even though he was coming in through our marketing channel. We had specific tasks for him to do as it related to kind of launching a social media brand, but ultimately getting him exposure to different elements of the business, which also I think led to him deciding, I don't want to be in the corporate world. I'm going to start my own business. I see opportunities through that experience. But one thing just to note, I think it's great if you can get an internship with a really big brand, a big company, looks great on the resume, and often those lead to first-time opportunities, right? Entry-level jobs. But at the same time, I think sometimes getting those small, family businesses or small company experiences, you're going to potentially have a lot more responsibility and learn more and get exposed to more, which I think rounds out kind of those initial skills you're trying to develop, especially in the world of sales. And I think it's important for anyone going into this is understanding what you want to get out of this for yourself. You might just be trying to validate that this is the career path for you. You may just be trying to connect in as you're looking for a full-time opportunity in your future. But have your goals, like you said, Scott, at the beginning. Make sure you write down your goals and what you're trying to get exposed to. And then make sure you do a really good job of discovery, asking what they expect out of you, what great looks like. Talk about some of the best interns they've had in the past and what did they do to differentiate themselves. I think the more you do kind of in that early discovery process to set the tone, will make it easier for you to show up really, really well for that experience.
Yeah. And I think securing an internship and then securing kind of what I like to call the golden ticket is a function of your network. So what a lot of people do not do is they don't write it down, right? What does that network look like? Because things happen in weird ways. You may not have an opportunity now, but if you kind of continue to expand that network, and Billy, you're as good as most on keeping the network alive, right? Leaving me at dinner, jumping on a phone call, and tapping into your network, which I find to be a little weird. But
Yeah.
on a serious note, you are
Demetri, he was really boring that night. I needed to find a little bit more energy.
Well, he found it.
Yeah.
You hate to see it.
But forcing Caden to actually write down Billy Shaw, what's his title? What does he do? How do I learn from him? And then, parlaying that into potential opportunities for internships. But what I'm working with Caden on is a page 2, right? It's how do you secure that full-time job? And what I simply did is like, okay, I'm going to expose my network to him. He wants to be in tech sales. I'm in tech sales. So who are all the people I know? And guess what? They now have kids that are a little bit ahead of Caden. So I'm networking Caden into my friends' kids. And now this has a lot of cool, and like he was scratching his head with me. He's like, Dad, I'm too early. They're not hiring. Why are we doing this so early? I'm like, my man, because a lot of times at the tail end of your junior year, right at the end of that summer, they're extending full-time job offers, right? So that means you're going to have something in hand as you go into your senior year.
Yeah.
Senior year at Bama, having a full-time job in hand, man, that sounds like a pretty good deal, right? So, but oftentimes the kids aren't thinking, when I say kids, people in their early 20s aren't thinking like that, right? So to get ahead of it, plan 1, internship, how do I really exceed? And plan 2, how do I secure that full-time job as early as the end of the summer?
Yeah. And I think it's really important to also recognize
I have an idea.
It should real quick, D, I was just going to say to finish on Scotty's point of don't wait, right? I have a son that's a junior in high school. I'm already challenging him to be thinking about what type of experience could he get this summer outside of his regular work, job. He's going to have a summer job. Go get some experiences where you can start getting exposure to different things, whether it's accounting or finance or sales. So you can start thinking about what you want. The more experiences you get and the earlier you get them is even better to round you out, your resume, your experience, and it starts to give you, the directional focus that you need to think about what you want to do in terms of your college degree and ultimately career afterwards.
Yep.
Sorry, Dave.
No, that's great. I was going to add that something that I do recall doing is I literally made a list of every single adult business person that I knew. This had to be like summer 2016 or it was right before I went to Olivet for college. I made a list of every single mentor or somebody that I'd look up to. And I figured out a way. I mean, just kind of while you were on the list, Billy. All right. Long story short, that's why we're here today. But I would figure out how to basically 1, add value first, but 2, like how can I build an authentic relationship with this person? Obviously, there were certain coffee conversations where it was like, okay, this is definitely a one and done kind of thing. But especially if that person was like open to it, right? Which in essence, you were very open to it, and I'm extremely grateful for you. You need a Best Mentor Award trophy sent to your
Billy.
office.
Well done.
Anyways, but
nice job.
Come on. Yeah. We need the GOAT thing to go off right now. But no, I literally made that list and just treated it like a CRM almost in a way where it's like either I'm keeping up with them on their LinkedIn, I'm sending them a text once a quarter. But at that point I had a Facebook still, so I would make sure I texted them on their birthday or right. Figuring out ways to really treat that network like it's something that is going to truly change your life. Like, I don't think a lot of people think like that. I mean, and definitely I encourage whoever's listening to this, like get on LinkedIn. Every time you talk with somebody, hey, can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Like keep the pulse. I think that's the thing. And Billy, something that you shared to me that was super helpful. I think I closed the deal because of this, literally. It was like, I don't remember you saying this a while ago. He's like, when I get bored and I have drive time, windshield time, is you go to your phone book and you just you try to flip through it. You find somebody you haven't talked to in a while and you just call them. And same principle, where it's just like, do what it takes to like, not in an annoying way. So you gotta have some self-awareness to know if it's too much, but to stay top of mind in a way that's authentic and like really starting to build a real
checking in with
relationship
people.
with
And
that person.
I love your
Then that leads to other stuff.
idea of writing down different people you want to engage with. I think that's a great opportunity. I've talked to Carter about that. Like there's a handful of people I know that I want him to get some mentorship from and just connect with before ever going to college, just to start getting ideas and advice from people I know and trust. And I think that's a really easy exercise for anybody listening to this. Just think about 2 or 3 people that have had an impact on you, or talk to someone you know about people that had an impact on them, and just reach out to those people. I think that's the toughest part, at least from what I see, is people get a little nervous and don't want to put themselves out there. They think people are too busy for them. They don't want to be annoying. I've got one of my daughters is always saying that, like, I don't want to just reach out randomly without them knowing. It's like, well, I'll make the intro. I'll do a warm introduction, but you really should put yourself out there. No one's going to be bothered by a quick text or email. If you're just looking to get some career advice, I think most adults are going to want to, or people in the career world are going to want to give advice and help you out. So just have the courage to put yourself out there, be proactive, be engaged. And the more people you reach out to, the more opportunity you're going to find yourself looking at.
Yeah. And that kind of, how do you find a full-time job? It is about the network, and it's about practice, right? You go into these conversations, a networking conversation, a mentorship conversation, you got to have a plan, right? So as it relates to the Caden example, we're really role playing. So Caden's talking to, again, some people in my network, their kids that might be a couple years ahead of Caden. And he's like, Dad, do we really have to practice this? I go, yeah, let's do it. So we did a role play, right? And what I found him doing was talking about his experience. And I'm thinking to myself, what does that really have to do with that kid who's looking to help you, right? This is about, so back to be interested, not interesting. We want to, the way we did it is, hey, intro, how do we know each other? That was 1. 2 is, what's their experience like? And then 3, it's a transition about, ideally he'd want to leave that call with some type of a contact to a hiring manager, right? But there's a flow to the conversation that you got to practice, right? Mm-hmm. And until you've done it 2, 3, 10, 100 times, you don't really understand that. So, the practicing and the preparation for any conversation as it relates to networking. And D, I really liked what you put. How do you follow up with these people? Like, Billy, how many times have people followed back up with you when you're just taking the time to, have a conversation or mentoring? Probably very few, if I had to guess. But they know that maybe they follow your company back to LinkedIn. Maybe they have an article in relation to your industry that they shoot over to you. Little things. It doesn't have to be inhuman. It doesn't have to be about how you're going to help them immediately. It has to do with formulating that mutual relationship.
Sure. Yep, totally agree.
Nothing superficial, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we're gonna interview a few people that run different internship programs. So we'll make sure that we link this episode to those individuals when we bring them on. But now is the time. So right now it's really important that you're reaching out. Start with the network because for example, we're already looking at. I've got my summer internships actually already filled. Yep. I'm looking for people for the fall. Right. So I think you got to get on top of it, or you're looking for that summer internship experience. And last thing I'd just share is that Demetri made a great point. You get a paid internship. That's the best of both worlds, right? You're getting paid for you just learning and getting more knowledge, more experience. But I know a few people have done paid internships, but they also volunteer one day a week at certain businesses just to get some more work in to learn. So again, this is about developing your skill set, your connections, your network, and all of this is just going to help you for your future.
Yeah. Yep. And I think LinkedIn is your friend. I'm on it all the time. I do it to keep up with my customers. I do it to keep up with my network. And I would strongly suggest all the folks out there that are listening to really develop take your time with your LinkedIn page. I gave my son a hard time. He looked like a frat kid, right? He wasn't smiling. I said, my man, you got to smile. Come on.
He wanted to look sophisticated.
Are people going to want to talk to you if you're going to give the tough guy look? So, I think it's important to treat that LinkedIn page as gold and really take your time with past experiences that you've done, how you could relate that to sales, and just kind of keep that LinkedIn update. And then how you follow your network is really important. Little comments on that, like as a sales leader, when I post something, I do read the comments that come back. I mean, I'm not a crazy LinkedIn poster in general, but when I do, I really appreciate kind of that back and forth. So as a younger seller, follow, you know, if it's tech, if it happens to be another sector that you're interested in, med device, if it has to be with the leaders that are in these companies, they're probably more active than you think, right, on LinkedIn. So have a presence, take it seriously. Great way to communicate with your different mentors.
What does having a presence look like to you that's not obnoxious,
On LinkedIn?
Scott?
Are you saying on
Yeah.
LinkedIn?
What do
talk
you
about LinkedIn?
consider that mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
LinkedIn.
I'd be curious, Billy, what
LinkedIn,
you think. I think a presence is just the basics. Good, solid picture. What you're doing, D, as far as you said, within say a university, are you involved in your sorority or fraternity? All right. Do you have a part-time job? What are your interests?
Yeah.
Like, you can really tailor those LinkedIn profiles to really kind of show who you are, what you do. Billy, like you said, how you giving back, right? That's something that's important. I'd want to know that about someone. So that's what I mean by presence, D. And then when you start to load up like real opportunity, take your time. Some people are better than others, but how did you produce? What are the impacts? Is there a revenue impact? Is there a cost impact? That's getting a little bit further down the line when you get, maybe it is an internship, Billy, or maybe your first job. Some people just put, I worked at this company, title, and that's it. But I think they're leaving valuable information out there.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. And I listen, I'm actually not good with LinkedIn. I got a little burned out on it a while ago. I think that there's a lot of kind of self-promotion out there, but I get it. I do get that. But so that's something I've got to do a better job of overall, but I really utilize it to follow up with customers, to engage with customers. When I get people reaching out to connect, if it's kind of a brief but maybe meaningful statement or a couple comments, I'll respond. If I'm getting a novel from someone, I just won't take the time to read it all, and usually don't even connect. So I just say, if you're reaching out to people, make sure you're short and concise with what you're looking for, and be direct. And if you're just looking to connect to get some mentorship or talk about opportunities, I always love getting those because I'll respond to those pretty quick. But no, I think what you said really, really does matter. Just don't oversell yourself. It's more of an opportunity for you to be on there to link with your professional network. And as you get going and there's meaningful things to share, I think there's a ton of great content out there. I think people do share some really good info, and those are the things that I tend to kind of follow or gravitate toward, where I think there's value add.
Yeah. And you go ahead, D.
I was going to if it's tied to that, go for it first. But I have a question about like positioning yourself to be taken serious in these conversations with people.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was going to
you guys would
be
want to be approached by a college student.
Yeah. I think, we mentioned LinkedIn, and you can set up LinkedIn to get yourself exposed to a lot of internship opportunities, which would create a conversation. It may not be part of your network. It might not be part of my network, but I think the key is to landing the internship, to landing the first-time job, is kind of that rule of 10,000. You got to get the at-bats, right? They matter. So even if the job's not perfect for you, but you're getting to tell your story over and over and over. So D, can you repeat your question again?
Yeah, it was, I guess, positioning yourself outside of LinkedIn. I think we've kind of teed it up with a lot of LinkedIn, but like, what can they be doing practically speaking now? Like, say they're on campus, they have access to resources. I'm sure most campuses care about investing in their students. What can they be doing now? Let's say somebody's just taking a chance out of their schedule to listen to this. They don't listen to podcasts. They're like, okay, my friend told me to listen to this. If they're trying to lock in right now and they're kind of wasting their weekends partying, and obviously they get their homework done, but like, what could be their pattern shift moment going into this next week as they're listening to this to like, I think going down the path.
You're looking to network. I mean, it's same thing on campus, right? You're looking at, there's business fraternities, there's different clubs you can be part of. Depending on what year you are, reach out to some people that are ahead of you and what are they doing, and just connecting with your peers. People might be in fraternities or sororities. Are you watching what some of the seniors are going through in terms of now they're starting to try to get those first jobs? So I think, again, it's no different. than reaching out to family and friends and just asking and trying to learn from people that have been successful ahead of you. But there's so many resources on campus. There's so many resources within, a high school. It's just taking the time to go plug in and find those and learn more.
Yeah. Yeah. These business fraternities, I never took advantage of them because I was there to have fun, if I'm being totally honest.
You and I both in our 7-year college experiences.
And we still figured it out, but I wouldn't recommend that tactic. I'd probably, take advantage of the resources that are on campus.
Yeah.
My daughter's at University of Illinois, and there are these coveted business fraternities, and they call them business fraternities. And I've never really heard of such a thing at University of Massachusetts back in the day. But 700 people interview, 20 get in, right? And it's a coveted network. So D, back to your question, what you can start doing today, these opportunities exist. It's up to you. You can still party in school. You can still go to class. You can still have a social life, but carving out a component of your day-to-day or your week, and this is what I work with my son on, dedicate 10% of the time. He has Mondays and Fridays off, right? Plenty of time to go execute D on the question that you asked. Dig in, what is available. And my daughter, who's a freshman right now, is really taking advantage of this. And she's still having fun and a great time, but she's met some really cool people. And then the sororities is not another one, D. She's in a sorority, and she's really she's really sharing information with internships that her sorority sisters are doing. So I think that is all documented. Do you take advantage of that or do you not? But all it is increasing your network. Yeah,
absolutely. So, hey, the last thing I'd say kind of in closing is another great opportunity might be just find things to volunteer at. It could be a Red Cross, like whatever, there's always cancer walks and different things to be part of. Go to those events, plug in, just keep putting yourself out there in social settings, and you're going to meet different people. You get to talk to people running different organizations, and all of those opportunities are going to present more opportunities over time. But we'll keep on this topic, obviously, when we're talking to guests and get more opinions. But right now is the time. So if you're thinking about doing an internship, you want an internship, don't sit on your hands and wait. You got to be proactive, and now's the time to start reaching out. And again, we'll follow up with a couple specific guests hot on this topic.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Awesome. Have a good one.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Goat's Gravy. We've shared some awesome insights and strategies aimed at enhancing your journey in sales. And the conversation does not have to stop here. So be sure to follow us on social media at The Goat's Gravy and explore more at thegoatsgravy.com. Your journey towards sales mastery is ongoing, and we're here to support you at every step. So thank you for tuning in today. Stay curious, stay driven, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.